Hello and welcome to yet another YouTube video here on this channel. Today we are taking a look at Scrintal, and this is a part of my Building a Second Brain in Different Note-Taking App series, where I set up different note-taking apps in a way that can make you more productive and most importantly give you clarity of mind, and you can easily access and find your notes to use them in future projects. So we are taking a look at Scrintal, and Scrintal is still in early access. I have the personal pro plan, and from time to time I get invites and I share them here on YouTube. So if you haven't done so, please do subscribe, and I will come back with a new invite as soon as I get one. Anyways, we are making a second brain or a note-taking app setup. So let's call this second brain. And we will just favorite this because we are going to use this a lot. Then we can start off with creating different boards. So this is an app quite similar to something like Heptabase. I would say that it is an Heptabase competitor, and we will give these boards different names. So we have our areas, then we need to create another board. This was a card. I am creating a board, not a card. So you can do that by right clicking and creating a board. I wasn't able to see it at first. We will give this a name, resources. We will call this resources. Then we have our areas, resources, projects, and at last we have our archive. So this is our ongoing project, so we would put our different projects into this, and this app fits best for people who like a more visual approach to note-taking like myself. And this last one is archive. So the way this works is that areas of your life are things without a due date. So I would say that my YouTube channel, my job, my family, friends, and so on, they are areas of my life. Resources are just things you can't place anywhere else, but you want to use them in the future. So every time I read a book, that will probably be a resource, and I can put it inside of here. Then we have archives. Instead of deleting things when we are finished with a project or finished with a note, we will put it into archive, and projects are just things with a due date. So that's how we differentiate things inside of this app. And at the right hand side here, you can see all informations about this board, as well as where it appears, the backlinks. You can search through this. It is a new cool feature inside of Scrintal. Let's just jump into my resources. So the way I would use my resources is that I would probably just put a lot of different things inside of here. So my productivity system would probably be a resource. Napkin, it is a note-taking app. I would probably put this as a resource. The same goes for any type, and I would just have a lot of different resources and I would link them together. And you can do that in two ways. You can drag, or you can actually do what's called a backlink. So I could insert a card or a link. So let's try this. Napkin visual note-taking app. I could put this in here as well, and you can open several things together, which is another cool feature of this app. And that's how I would set up my resources. I wouldn't categorize it in any way because I like to see everything visually and see different connections. And even though my boards can get a little bit messy, I can show you my resources board here. This isn't too messy, but they can easily get really messy. Even though that's the case, I would rather have them messy and just be able to see all the different connections. So that's how I would do my resources. My areas I would do a little bit differently. So I would do a board. I would create several boards inside of here. So I would call this personal social media. personal social media, and I could create a card called social media ideas, and we will call this social media ideas. I would do a backlink, and here I could insert different cards. So every time I would have an idea, I would insert a card. Let's say I am going to make a video about Scrintal. Make a video about Scrintal. And here I have my new card. And here I would probably write down all the things, my script, all the notes I have regarding this video. I will write it inside of here. So that's how I would set this up. And as you can see the visual links between these two. And I would do this for all of my different ideas, or all of my different social media ideas, and I could remove them once I'm done, and move them into my archive. So every time I'm done with something, I would move this into my archive. So that's how I would set it up. I would also have one for people in my life, so we can call this people in my life. And a card can live inside of different boards as well. So people in my life. You could also make a Kanban view inside of here. I would probably do that too. So create columns. This could be a Kanban board. I could place these into a Kanban board, and I can rename this, and I could make multiple columns, and I could just move this around. So let's say this was doing, or to do, and doing, and the last one would be done. So I could do it like this as well. And if you didn't want to use a card, I could remove this card, and I could create text instead, and I could call this social media ideas. And I could have it like this instead. So there are several different options on how you could do this inside of Scrintal. If you're used to more visual tools, if you are, for example, a designer, this interface will be quite familiar to you. I could change the color of this as well if I wanted to. So I could have all of my social media ideas here, and I could move them, and whenever I am done, I could remove this from the board and move it into my archive. So that's a possibility as well. So I could take it out, and I could remove from this board and move it to another board. That's also a possibility. So there are a lot of options when it comes to Scrintal, as I've said a couple of times now. I would have one for people in my life as well, and I would have my projects the same way as I have my areas. Every project gets its own dedicated board. So I call all of my YouTube videos or blog posts for different projects. So this would be video about Scrintal. So the way I use this is that my personal social media page is only for having the ideas and moving them around, so more of a project management tool, while this would be where I actually do a lot of the work. This would be the place where I bring all of my notes regarding Scrintal and look at them and start writing. So every single one of my YouTube videos, every single one of my ongoing projects gets their own boards, and I would remove them as I'm done and move them to my archives. So that's how I would build a second brain inside of here. You can do it with tags as well, but I am not the biggest fan of tags inside of inside of Scrintal. I love the fact now that they have sort of an interface where you can see total tags, average cards per tag, median cards per tag. I think this is quite fun, and this is a cool new feature. And I have honestly been liking this app. I think it's quite good. You can also drag cards, just to mention that, because I haven't done that already in this video. You can also search through your cards and drag them into here. So how to take smart notes, for example. I haven't actually read that book yet. A Diary of a CEO. I have some notes on podcast I listen to, and I can just drag them into here if I wanted to. So I use Snipped to get my podcast transcribed, to get my podcasts transcribed, and I move them into my note-taking apps. So that's just an idea on how you can do things inside of Scrintal. I would recommend trying this out. I think it's a really fun app, especially if you are into whiteboards and you like to have a more visual approach to your note taking. This is a great choice, and it is a great competitor to something like Heptabase, which I am using on a daily basis. Thank you for watching. As usual, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe. This channel is all about productivity, mental health, and mindful productivity. So if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe, and I hope to see you again quite soon.